Hey guys, I'm back again and I'm here today to do my best of 2016. So these are not going to be in any particular order other than the order that I read them. So there are 9 best books. My best books are basically the books that I gave 5 stars to. And I have 2 honorable mentions that I gave 4.5 stars to. So let's get started. First on my list, I have Blacks by Gwendolyn Brooks. Now, this is a very big book, which I picked up, if I remember correctly, at the very beginning of 2016. And this is a collection of poems. So almost a complete collection. And it also has a short story, like smack dab in the middle, that I was like, what? This is so cool. And basically it has all of some of the best things that Gwendolyn Brooks has written in poetry. So if you're interested in Gwendolyn Brooks, you're interested in reading about African Americans, and her poems are pretty much centered around her neighborhood, the neighborhood she lived in Chicago. And yeah, very, very interesting, and I will surely reread this at some other point in my life. Next book I have is the Book of Harlan, which is by Bernice L. McFadden. Now, you know I love this one. And this is one of those books where you can pick it up and you could practically read it in one sitting. I think I did practically read it in one sitting, maybe 1 or 2 days. But very, very interesting read, very well done, and we all love Harlan. He's not perfect, but we all love him. If you want to know more about what I thought about this book, I will link below my video review that I did on the Book of Harlan. Next I have is The Healing by Jonathan Odell. Now, this is a book that I buddy read with Alicia over from Pretty Brown Eye Reader. If you don't know Alicia, please go check her out. We really love this book because this is a slave narrative, but told by a white gay man. And let me tell you, it is spot on. If you haven't read this one, you absolutely need to pick it up. It is so good. And I can't wait to get to some more Jonathan Odell. I think I'll try to put him higher up on my TBR for this year, because yeah, I was very, very happy with this book. I will link below the video review I did for this one. Love, love, love. Yes. Next, I have 2 books that are kind of linked in a way. So we have The Fire Next Time by James Baldwin. I don't need to tell you what this is about. You've seen this all over BookTube. If you haven't read The Fire Next Time, you need to get on it, because this is a major, major American classic. Needs to be read by everybody. And then I read right after that The Fire This Time. And this is a compilation of essays by some of the top African authors at the moment. And it was compiled by the lovely Jesmyn Ward. Now, if you haven't read this one, you really need to read it, because this is basically essays that talk specifically about what it's like to be an African American today. And it covers a lot of different aspects. It covers fatherhood. It covers what it's like to be an African American walking on the street. It covers historical events, historical figures, and how they have been sort of misrepresented over time, and this representation doesn't seem to have been taken too much into consideration. It talks about graffiti. It talks about so many things that touch African Americans today, and with everything that has happened, and in 2016, this is a book that everybody should have been beating down the door to get to, and unfortunately I don't think it was talked about enough last year. But this is probably, off of this list, my most favorite book of 2016. Okay, next I have How to Be Black, and this is by Baratunde Thurston. Now this is an essay about Baratun Thurston's life, and the thing that's really special about this is it's a memoir, but it's written in a very particular manner. So this is a memoir that is presented under this aspect of how to be black, the things you need to so-called be black. And I was turned on to this book by Alan over at YupIReadIt. I will link her video below. Her video review was excellent. And that is the video review that made me go out, get this book, and read it. Fantastic. It was fast. It was funny. It was moving. And I'm not very big into reading memoirs, but I thoroughly enjoyed this one. Next I have on my list is Krak by Edwige Danticat. Now, Edwige Danticat is a Haitian American, and this is, I think it's one of her first books, and it is a compilation of short stories which deals with Haitian immigrants and them moving to the US. And so you get aspects of Haitians as they're leaving Haiti. You also get the Haitians that stay back in Haiti. And then you also get the Haitians that arrive in the US and the life that they lead and the difficulties and things. But this book is so, I mean, all the short stories all have a lot of meaning and a lot of, you can get a lot out of the book. So this is, I would say, a short story collection that doesn't leave you feeling empty or like something's missing. If anything, it calls you to read it again at some point, because I'm sure that if I read this a second, a third, and a fourth time, I will surely get more out of it each time. It's just a wonderful read, and I can't wait to read more of Danticat. She's just fantastic. And it's funny that a lot of people don't talk about her on BookTube, because she is a really inspiring writer, and she's a very emotional writer, and she is a very secure writer, and she's a writer who writes about this idea of being an immigrant and fitting into society, especially in American society. I think she writes it extremely well for an author that isn't spoken about as much. So I suggest you all pick Krak or anything else of Danticat up, because she's the bomb. Next on my list, I have The Arab of the Future. This is book 3, graphic novel. And I can't really talk specifically about this one because this is number 3, but just so you have an idea, it does follow the same idea, which is the, color scheme, but drawings in black and white. So as you can see, this one is number 1. This one is number 2. And this one is number 3. Now my editions, of course, as you can tell, are in French, but that's normal. And you can get this one as well. And I think it's been translated into quite a few languages. It's in Swedish, Portuguese, Polish, Norwegian, Dutch, Italian, French, Finnish, Spanish, Danish, Croatian, Korean, Catalan, Brazilian, and German. So if you're interested in Riyad Sattouf, this is his memoir in graphic novel form. It tells a lot about his life living in Libya and Syria. His father is Syrian and his mother is French. And wow, it starts basically in 1978 and goes to 1987. And we are now waiting for part 4 because the saga is going to continue. All right. Next, I have Jam on the Vine. Now, you know, I absolutely love Jam on the Vine. It is written by LaShonda Catrice Barnett. And this book, wow, this book motivated me like mad. And one of the best things about this book is the voice. Now, in general, it talks about the development of African American press in the U.S. And that's not a subject that I can say that I know hardly anything about. I mean, I know a little bit about it, but not really. This book brought some of that information for me personally to light. It is a very well done historical fiction. If anything, this is the way historical fiction should be done, because most of the time it's not so good. But this is the way it should be done, and just a fantastic read with, you know, fantastic characters, good food descriptions, a lot of emotion, even a little bit of suspense. It has everything going for this book. 5 stars. If you haven't read that one, pick it up. I will link below my video review of this one. Then you can hear me gush some more about this one. All right, so those are my 9 top books of the year, but I have 2 that are my honorable mentions because I gave them 4.5 stars, not 5, because there's just one less something missing for me to give it the 5 star. And the first one is going to be The Polished Hoe by Austin Clarke. Now, can we talk about Austin Clarke? Because I did this one as a read along with Kia from Kia Comments and Steve over at Steve Reads, and we had us a ball discussing The Polished Hoe. Matilda had us on a roll. Now, this book is not, I wouldn't say this is a book for everyone. I wouldn't, you know, I'm not going to tell you to go out and read it, because I know that the writing style is quite heavy going and might not be that interesting for a lot of people. It's quite a slow moving paced book. But what I found interesting about it is I learned a hell of a lot about the Caribbean through this book. And not only that, but the book was written in a way that I could almost see it as a theater play. And I found that fascinating, that someone could write like it's like 460 pages or something book and have it be where there's only like maybe 2 people that we actually hear speak through the majority of the book. And I don't, it's been a while since I've read anything like that, unless it was like a play or something. But I really enjoyed it. I think you should definitely pick this one up because, wow, really, really good. This is what's going to bring in some of my reading goals for this year, which I will be doing another video on that, which you will see very soon. And my second honorable mention is Here Comes the Sun by Nicole Dennis Benn. Now, OMG, if you haven't read this book, you haven't read this one, you're missing out, because of the contemporary that I have read this year from African American, especially African American women, this one I think is beautifully done. The writing is superb, because for me that's the most important, is the writing. She puts a lot of feeling. I love her play on words with light and dark. That she just had it down for me. It was just so good. And the thing is, it reads really quickly, and not only that, you learn a lot about the life living in Jamaica and the difficulty people have. And this, as you can see a theme here, because Caribbean, that's all I'm gonna say. So if you haven't read this one, I will definitely say pick this one up if you haven't read it. It is very good. So that's all I have for you today. I will be back really soon with my reading goals for 2017.